I first became aware of my mom's anti-blackness when I started kindergarten, and it mostly centered around avoiding interactions with black people and not allowing me to be exposed to anything that she considered black culture. So if we were walking and she saw a black person, she would pull me closer to her. If we were in the car in a parking lot and saw a black person in the parking lot, she would make a point to lock the doors, and I wasn't allowed to listen to rap or Michael Jackson or Tina Turner.
Gay, the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning.
Asians are very racist, especially traditional Asians, parents, grandparents. They're really racist. I know in Korea as well, white people are treated better than black people.
Hello folks, now they do say that an enemy to your enemy is your friend. And so I get to wonder why all this division, yet we have a common enemy, the same oppressor. I'm always speaking about unity for black people, for Asian American, and unity for all people, who are getting oppressed by the same oppressor. Now I just want us to watch these videos that I have here for you, and then I'll be reacting on them later on after these clips that I have for you here. But I saw this guy, spitting facts about this topic that I'm talking about here. So I want us to watch it and make sure that you get to share your minds about this, get to share what are your thoughts concerning this. I'll be here so that I'll be here so that we may have meaningful talk about this. Make sure you subscribe.
Gay, the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. But the problem is our communities are divided. For Asian Americans and for African Americans, we probably have one of the worst relationships between any community.
Well, I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too in my experience, don't even realize that if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million Asian Americans in this country.
Thank you. What I have been trying to teach the Asian community is like, friends, do you understand that your success, your prosperity, your civil rights that you enjoy right now was paid for with black blood?
Yo, what's up, man? I don't know if you guys have seen this video of these two Asian men talking about the divide between the black community and the Asian community. It's pretty dope, man. These dudes are laying down knowledge. It's dope. I think one of the guys maybe Korean, the other guy's maybe Filipino. Either way, they're both Asian and they're spitting that real shit. The guy's like saying, yo, I don't know if the Asian community understands this, but we wouldn't be here, 22 million of us in America, if it weren't for the civil rights movement, the civil rights bill.
If it wasn't for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million Asian Americans in this country.
I'm like, yeah, son. It's real talk. Listen, first of all, foreigners in general, like me, I am not a foundational black American. I'm not. My parents came from Nigeria to here. If it were not for foundational black Americans, none of these immigrants would be able to be doing what they do. That's facts. My parents wouldn't be able to do what they do if it weren't for foundational black Americans. We have to understand that this is all history. Fuck your feelings. This is the real deal. And me growing up in America, being born in America, African Americans always had my back. But when they're on their backs, nobody picks them up. And I know there's going to be, I can't wait to see the comments. There's going to be some passive aggressive ass bitch here talking that shit. But this is all facts. All right. And I want to appreciate those two Asian dudes spitting that knowledge. And by the way, there's a lot of Asian people online spitting knowledge. Real knowledge about the origins of our dealings with each other. People really waking up, and I really appreciate that because Asians and African Americans are so similar. Here's a nice little tidbit. Bruce Lee, when he was in San Francisco, you know who his first student was an African American guy. It was an African American. You could go watch Be Like Water on 30 by 30. His first student was an African American.
No, we're good. We are good. No. I'm speaking for Black American experience. Every time we have tried to band with everyone, literally, the whites come in and offer you all something and you leave us in the dust. We tried it. Our own people sold us out. Let's start there. Well, I don't even know if that, because I feel like it went by tribe. It was a war, but let's not even start there. Let's just say our own people sold us out, right? Arabs conquered North Africa, the Spanish slave trade, which they had black people in. Then, when you look at the Native Americans, the 5 civilized tribes, most of them sold the blacks back to the whites because the blacks couldn't afford to prove that they were Native Americans. Every time we have tried to band with someone, y'all over. Figure it out yourself. I am not a racist person. I love everybody. But when it comes to success, I'm only worried about the Black American community right now due to the fact of if it was vice versa, everybody else would think of themselves.
But the problem is our communities are divided.
I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too in my experience, don't even realize that if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million.
The problem is in division. This is the problem. Black Americans are only seen when we're beneficial to others. He said because of the civil rights movement, that's why 20 plus Asian people are here. But who was the sacrificial lamb during that civil rights movement? What other minority group was in the trenches with Black Americans while that was happening? Okay, and then on top of that, affirmative action, you know who benefited from that, even though it was meant for Black Americans and other marginalized groups? White women. And you see how they voted this past election. Other than that, if they're not benefiting from Black American people or Black American culture, they look at Black American people as less than. That's why they're always thriving and reaching for white proximity. This also applies to all the blacks that's not Black American. They think they better than Black Americans, but they're always cosplaying and benefiting from Black American culture. And these people are so disingenuous because they're only talking like this because of Trump talking about mass deporting Asians, Hispanics, Latinos, non-American citizens. That's the only reason this conversation came up, and that's why this is so disingenuous. It's funny now that they targeted, they want to give Black Americans credit. How come this conversation didn't happen 10 years ago, 11 years ago? The civil rights movement took place 60 years ago, and you now just talking about it? And since we're talking about this oppressor, this colonizer, the man, it's funny because he will hire a Black American before the Asian man will, before the Arab man will. Matter of fact, they'll come into your community, your Black community, take all your money, but they won't give you a chance. And then they judge you worse than the oppressor. Let one Black American person do something wrong, then they label the whole community that way. That's the same tactics the white man use. Right? So the problem isn't division. The problem is respect. Y'all view Black Americans as less than, and we're not having it. If we don't take that, accept that type of treatment from the white man, what makes you think that we're going to accept it from these middle groups? Are y'all that delusional? It's always good to show gratitude, but what does that translate into without respect?
I first became aware of my mom's anti-blackness when I started kindergarten, and it mostly centered around avoiding interactions with black people and not allowing me to be exposed to anything that she considered black culture. So if we were walking and she saw a black person, she would pull me closer to her. If we were in the car in a parking lot and saw a black person in the parking lot, she would make a point to lock the doors, and I wasn't allowed to listen to rap or Michael Jackson or Tina Turner. And she was hypocritical about that because I wasn't allowed to listen to Cyndi Lauper or Madonna either. She would call it trash music and say that it was going to be a bad influence. But if it was a white artist, it was not racialized. It was only when it was black artists that it was racialized. And another thing that I think is kind of typical is, as a musician, there were a lot of black artists whom she respected and enjoyed, but she would always say that one black artist is the exception, the rest are bad influences. When I went to school, if I came home and said I made a friend, her first question would be white or black. And that drove me nuts because in preschool, I dealt with a lot of bullying and discrimination because of being Asian. So it didn't make sense to me that she wanted me to turn around and do that very same thing to my black classmates whom she knew nothing about on the basis of their skin color. And when I wouldn't stay away from my black friends, she would resort to making up justifications as to why it was harmful for me. She would say they're going to hurt me and they're going to be a bad influence because they fight and they swear and they're not good students. And of course, none of that was true. And in my household, it was not physically or emotionally safe to voice your opinions, but about that I would, because it literally angered me. And then she would resort to physical violence. And that sealed the deal in my mind that prejudice is purely irrational because none of her claims had any basis in reality, and that's why she had to resort to physical force.
Now, welcome back again. Now, this is a talk that many people try to, refrain from talking about, and sometimes it is usually uncomfortable to talk about it, and that's racism. How does it come that we are divided yet we share the same struggle? Like I said earlier, Ron, an enemy of your enemy is your enemy too. Oh no, an enemy of your enemy is your friend. So you should try to come together. If you look at the oppression that black do go through, but still find themselves standing alone, they support a lot of groups. They support Latinos, they supported Asians, and I get to wonder, most of the times blacks are always there for everyone. It's also unfair that the world has to go against them, even those who share the same struggle with the black people. It's also funny, and that's why I usually like to say that it's all systemic and it has a suit. It is also having an office. Why? Because you cannot even get closer to understanding it, because it is covered in such a way that you will not get to understand it. I'm talking about racism here, and you all know sometimes when we talk about it, people say that what, blacks have all benefits, blacks like playing victim, they have this victim mentality, but this is not the case. Who is talking about the struggles that black people go through? If we try to keep on saying that it's just a victim mentality, we try to cover our eyes, not to see. We are blinding ourselves intentionally not to see the struggles that black people go through. And like that Asian guy who was talking there, I want to support what he said, that Asians, Latinos, black people, you need to come together. All these minority groups need to come together, because if you get divided, then that means a win to the enemy. But if you unite, if you see a black brother being extorted, if you see an Asian fella being harassed, and you step in, now that's where true power starts from. That's where love and humanity that we are talking about here starts from. You all know that we are always talking about love and caring for each other. And sometimes, most of the times, I like stressing on the love for black people, because these are kind of group that the world is trying to forget their struggles, and trying to pretend that they are not seeing that they are struggling. Right now there is this guy who is a truck driver and uh, got lost, but no one is talking about him. No one is talking about that. But when a white guy is taken down, of course we're not supporting anything of a sort. They all stand to talk about it. Why don't we have someone stand for these people? Why don't we have someone rise against the injustices that these black people go through? If you keep on saying that it's a victim mentality, we are missing it. We are missing that mark, and it's not fair at all. I'm looking forward to a point where we'll be seeing wrong being done to a black fella, and a white guy is standing, and an Asian is standing. Everyone is standing against it. This is the wish that I have, and that people may stop talking about this victim mentality stuff. Of course we have to agree there are injustices. We have to agree that there is a lot of evil being done against black people, but we hang on that cliff of they're just playing victim. No, there is a real struggle in this, and you'll get to understand one time when you experience it by yourself. Then you will get to feel them. They do say that you only feel it when you experience it, and I believe that one day you'll get to understand it. These are my honest remarks about this. I don't know what you think about it, and you can share what you think about it in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for showing your support. Do subscribe if you've not yet subscribed. Do like the video, share the content. We're going to greatly appreciate. I'm hoping to be seeing you in my next post, but until then, protect yourself, take care of yourself, take care of the other person, love one another, and give a hand where it is needed. Goodbye, my people.